Welcome folks, and today for an update that isn't a joke, 1.0 is actually here. Well, 1.0B, which is coming in the form of an update planned for tomorrow, but we'll just have to see how that goes, and I'll talk about why that might be in a few moments. This update is also titled a new Frontier, so a bit of a joke. Newer Frontier. One of the big things, and to all of you console players that will probably be happy to hear this, is that the PC and the console versions will both release at the same time for the first time. So let me know if you're happy about that in the comments section below if you are a console player. Anyway, today I'm going to be breaking down this patch, what's coming, and what to expect. So if you haven't watched any of my other videos, just a little forward, and this is actually laid out in the patch notes, which you can also find linked in the description below if you want to read it as I go along, is that with launch they're changing their update cycle. So there's going to be major content updates with a new champion, a new event, or other large features in a single update, and these updates will occur every 6 weeks. In between these updates, there will be smaller updates that focus on balance polish and fixing outstanding bugs that add some skins, most likely, like this current release 1.0B. Too long didn't read about what's coming in this patch is the Battle Pass challenges, new loading screen splash art, some more galactic skins, and some balance with mainly on frontliners and quite a few bug fixes, although some of them are still being talked about. So why this update may get a little bit delayed. So hi-rez Chris, Paladins executive producer, tweeted two things. Patch 1.0B, a new frontier, just an update. We have two issues that we don't want to ship with, and it's very important to start gaining trust that we ship a bug fix patch and we don't introduce new bugs. So even though in the past these bugs would have been acceptable, they are not anymore. Too long didn't read, we are working on the last few issues and hope to ship it as soon as possible. So was expected to come up tomorrow, but it might be delayed a little bit. So it's not explicit what these bugs are, these two that he mentions, whether they're new bugs, but there are a few things that they say they're currently investigating, which they're being open about on their patch notes, but isn't being pushed through. That's the Alt and Tab when in full screen, causing the client to crash, which happens to me a lot, and is apparently down to the DirectX 11 version, and also the in-match texture loading error causing the LSD bug or Hall of Mirrors, which they are currently working on. So I hope that those are the two that they push through, as those are the most important probably. Anyway, we're going to come back to the rest of the bugs and some of the most important ones afterwards, but I just thought I'd talk about that forward. And honestly, I think it's nice for them to be a little bit more open, in the patch notes, talking about what they're trying to work on at the moment, not just trying to hide away and say it doesn't exist, and also with the fact that they're delaying it a bit just to iron out some bugs. Although we haven't had a public test server for this patch, so I just hope that the QA team can sort it out. Anyway, one of the big things coming that people have been asking about for ages and should have come when the Battle Pass was announced, and that is the Battle Pass challenges. So these are all the rewards for the challenges. I think the challenges are basically just little quests, and the first one at tier 1, which is Battle Pass level 2, you get 200,000 Battle Pass experience. At tier 2, 400,000 Battle Pass experience. Tier 3, 600,000. Tier 4, I think it's 1 million. I think they've put these in the wrong order. And then finally in tier 5 you get 8 million Battle Pass experience and the legendary title Gearhead. Now this isn't exactly adding any more content, but a lot of people have been complaining about how long the Battle Pass takes, and this should speed things up quite a lot. Now that I don't think this quite matches the level of quests and things that go on in the Fortnite Battle Pass, which people say is a copy, but I'm not gonna lie, that's a great system for monetization. It's not RNG, you know what you're gonna get, there's a finite amount of stuff, and there's a hell of a lot of stuff in the things in the Battle Pass that you actually buy, so I think it's a pretty good model. And hopefully this can just be ironed out, maybe with some more exciting stuff in the next Battle Pass coming with the next season, I think it's a seasonal thing. Another addition they've added, and I don't think they've got all of them yet, and this is one of the criticisms a lot of people talked about the original release not being ready for their launch, is the splash arts for the champions when you're loading in. So they've added in Cassie with default and Coral, Eevee with default Evocation, Drogos default, Dreadhunter, Tyrant, HRX, and Ruckus default, Sprocket, and Zin default and Nomad. Still not quite there, but they are adding things to it. Another addition that is nice is that you can now rotate the preview meshes in the loadout screen as well as the Battle Pass screen. So that should be nice, to be honest. I didn't like the Battle Pass screen all too much. I'm not sure I like the background. It's a bit washed out. But it'll be nice at least that you can rotate the models around and see what you're actually getting. And moving on to the customizations coming with this patch. And though they haven't released the actual finished models that are going to come, and we won't see that until tomorrow, whenever the delayed patch will actually be released. But both of the new skins are tied to the Galaxy chest. This one is unfortunately RNG, but there we go. But the first one is the Mercenary Strix. And now this just looks like a Mandalorian, so Jango Fett, Boba Fett, from Star Wars, in all honesty. I mean, I like the theme. It's all like a mesh of, if you took Boba Fett and mixed it with Strix's default skin, you get something along these lines. And obviously we can't see the model just yet, but the splash art is pretty incredible. The same with the Galactic Scion Leon. Looks kind of like Slave Princess Leia. Maybe slightly more badass than that, and slightly more covered up, but that's sort of the direction it's going. This splash art's been going around for a while in data mines and stuff, and has been also splash art. There's also a data mined model, although I don't know whether or not this one is finished. I mean, there does seem to be a bit more of a red tint to the model in the splash art, but it could just be that sort of there's a red planet in the background that looks like something like Corellia. The other skins that are coming back into the chest are the Sasei Ruckus, Dark Lord Torvald, Dunecrawler Cassie, Even Star Zin, Nova Strike Kanessa, Replicant Ying, and V1 K-Tor. I mean, if these are the skins in the chest, then at least all of these skins are nice and there's no junk in there, but it could be that they're just missing out the emotes and things that might actually come in. So I also talked about the Covert Ops Lex coming in the last patch, but it seems that they're actually putting it in this patch, making it in. So that's the one way if you get the 1,500 crystals in Paladins Strike, when you link the two accounts, you can unlock this robotic Lex. Anyway, moving on to the champion nerfs and buffs. So Ashe has had a slew of buffs here. So first to Ashe's ultimate, Assert Dominance. So the damage when you slam that flag into the ground, when you hit people with the AoE, is going from 350 damage to 600 damage, and also they're increasing the max horizontal velocity, so basically be able to plant it faster. So the idea here is that it'll be harder to stun her between trying to get her ulti off, and also she'll be able to do a little bit more burst damage to enemies that are actually caught on the point or wherever she's dropping into. I think this is going to make her overall more potent, and getting it down and not getting void gripped or stunned in between and getting killed off there, which is a nice touch, I will say, which goes nicely with a reduction in cooldown base to the ability Shoulder Bash, going from 17 seconds to 15 seconds, just meaning that she has more mobility and a way of getting around, and giving a bit more of a nudge to her Shoulder Bash legendary, which I still think misses the CC immunity. The next talent card that has been changed is Slug Shot, and that's a card which basically makes you fire further in a single shot, but recently had the damage bonus removed. But now that increased range has gone from 50%, so an extra 50% of your range, to 100%. So you could likely snipe with Ashe and have an effectiveness across the entire map. And now I'm not so sure about this one. The thing that annoys me about Slug Shot is that the size of the projectile is so massive that it doesn't take much effort to aim the thing. And it just feels cheap to go against it. So it could be very annoying to be hit by that thing at some of the longer ranges. And be sure to let me know what you think in the comment section below about that one, because I'm curious what other people think about that too. Although it is nice to see some buffs for Ashe, as she has been out of the meta a little bit this time around. Khan has also had a slew of buffs. So Battle Shout increases the heal from 800 to 1000, overpowers damage is going from 500 to 600, and the charge rate is being increased. Commander's Grab damage is also going from 400 to 600. All in all, with the abilities there, you've got more healing and also more damage from whenever your abilities go off. I think it's going to push Khan more into the meta, and I think people are already practicing with him now. I'm seeing him picked up a lot, ready once he does get this buff. Also, the cards have also seen some buffs, especially in the healing ones. So Vigorous Defense, this is once you have your shield up. Instead of healing you 10 per level, it's 25 per level every second, which is very important because it's infinite, and that's a large increase too. So even our combat healing will be much quicker to get back into the action. I think we might actually see this one being picked up. Hulking Strength is your grab reducing card, and that's going from 0.5 at every level to 0.6. Another buff so you can get this Commander's Grab off more often, which is good. Also, Close and Personal. This is a card that gives you the damage reduction when you hit Commander's Grab. Again, it's kind of a harder ability to hit, so how important this one is, I'm not entirely sure, but it gives you an 8% at each level damage reduction. However, it's sort of been nerfed a bit as well because the duration's gone from 3 to 2 seconds. All in all, I think mostly that's a bit of a buff for Khan, and we might see him much more often. Kinesa's also had a sort of rework. We'll just have to see how this one works out. So it says that the sniper mode, once you've zoomed in, has an increased zoom. What I'm assuming is it just means that the field of view is going to be larger, so you're sort of looking further in. I'm not sure whether this is necessarily a good or a bad thing, because you're not necessarily wanting to be zoomed in all the way because it's harder to hit flankers and enemies that are closer to you. The maps and Paladins aren't very big, so you're not necessarily needing that extra zoom all too often. And in, say, CSGO, which is sort of a similar distance, you hardly use the double scope on an AWP. It's a single scope then a shot. You're sort of scoping pretty quickly and firing with Kinesa as well. So I'm not sure about the change. We just have to see how that plays out. That rolls on to the nerfs. Ruckus base health is going from 4,500 to 4,000. This one I'm also not sure about. I don't think he's overperforming too much at the moment, even if he is decent. We'll just have to see how that plays out. What do you all think about that one? And also, Inara is being nerfed with their Earthen Guard, reduced the increased healing from 60 to 40%. And Stone Bulwark, this is a card that heals you whilst the Earthen Guard is up, has gone from 30 to 25 at each level per second. And I mean, it's not a ridiculously huge nerf, but it is a little bit of a hit to Inara. Maybe you're making the Ashe and the Khan seem more appealing this patch after they've both received buffs. The last one that's received a nerf is Buck with their Concussion card. This is one that reduces the cooldown of the net shot, has gone from the scaling of 1.5 seconds at every level to 1 second reduction. There were quite a lot of these net shot Bucks around and about, and I guess they're sort of reeling that in a bit. Although it was interesting to have something a bit different for Buck for a little while, going away from the recovery and bulk up Buck. So let's move on to the bug fixes, and I'll be sure to cover anything that snuck through once the patch goes live, either tomorrow or a bit later on if it's delayed any further. Okay, so the first bigger one is Barrack's weapon now deals a proper amount of damage, or some randomness in what was actually being registered in the end, and sort of pushed him out of the meta for the moment because obviously you can't really play him properly, so that's nice. Kinesa's reveal card, open season, now only reveals to Kinesa, which it was originally intended for. Fixed an issue where Toot for Moji wasn't properly healing players after they left the cloud. They fixed the crush applying slow to targets, which was of Terminus, although this was actually a reworked talent, so Terminus might slip back away again. I know that the crush has been around for a while, the Shadowfall legendary. Apparently Shaolin wasn't turning to face the direction he was firing implanted, which is fixed. Nice. So something a lot of people were reporting was that the Mastery and Account XP levels were displaying incorrectly after matches, which should now display correctly and also award the correct amount. Some people were getting less than they should have done. They fixed an issue where aiming would display jittery when spectating or watching kill cam, which is nice because that's been a bit of an issue for a while. They said they fixed various crash issues. I hope that also includes some of the server disconnects and some of the bigger crashes, but as I've talked about before, there were the ones that they've said they're currently investigating. They've also fixed missing traces for Leon, Ruckus, Strix, and Barrack, which sometimes are annoying. Anyway, that's pretty much it from the bug fixes that I found interesting. If you want to see all of them, there's lots of things about visual stuff and UI stuff in there, and it'll be in the main patch notes, although I don't think there's anything game affecting or big to note. But however, we'll talk about the console specific ones. So they've updated button callouts for high resolution textures. Party leaders can now kick players from their party, and all party members can now invite other members. So I'm sure that console players will enjoy all of that. Anyway, this is one of the smaller updates that hi-rez are putting out. Like I said, one of the bug fixes, sort of the interim patches. They said that these would be sort of every 2 weeks-ish, although not so much fixed, although the big patches are going to be every 6 weeks. So we don't also know when the next big patch is with a new champion, the new healer that's got the codename Furia, but I'm going to guess in a few weeks. I mean, it has been a longer stretched out patch cycle at the moment, and I'm sure hi-rez will be wanting to get out some big cosmetics and things very shortly to monetize on. So we'll just have to wait and see when that next comes out. Anyway, what does everybody else think about the 1.0B update? Are you looking forward to trying it out? Are you happy that both of the releases are going to be at the same time now? Be sure to let me know all your thoughts in the comments section below. I think it's a relatively decent one, and we'll just have to play around with it when it comes out and see if everything goes up to the promise that are in the patch notes. And if you enjoyed the video, hit that like button, subscribe for more of my content, and I'll see you all next time. Thank you all very much for watching. Joshino.